Hello, it's Concord Wind. Today I've already made a video today, but this is my second video today anyways. Continuing on from what we read about animals being positive things, like anything created by God is a positive thing. Um, Continuing on from that, I prepared a passage, so let's go ahead and read it. Oh, but before I start, I do feel much better. The anxiety's gone now that I took the Optogen HP. I feel very calm, very relaxed, but I still have some energy. I worked out. I've worked out twice today, and I might go to the gym later. We'll see. So, yeah, let's go ahead and read this. Is the topic of all God's creations being positive things much clearer now? Let's confirm one last time the proper way to treat the various objects and living things created by God. Go ahead and repeat the three principles we fellowshipped on just now. First, as long as something is within the scope of positive things as defined by God, we should be certain in our hearts that it comes from God, that it is a positive thing, and that there's significance behind God creating it. It's so people can learn some lessons from it. Second, on the basis of being sure that it is a positive thing, if we don't like it or don't want to come into contact with it, we can ignore it. If it interferes with our lives, we can drive it away or stay away from it, and we should also learn some lessons and take some heed from it. Lastly, if it's created by God, ordained by God, or under God's sovereignty, we should not feel repulsed by it or detest it, but rather accept and acknowledge it with the correct attitude and manage it reasonably. Managing it reasonably is vitally important. If humans do not know how to manage all the things on earth that God has created, it's likely to have detrimental effects on their survival. If the laws and existence of the food chain are destroyed, then the survival of mankind will be at risk. Isn't mankind currently in a living environment like this? Mankind has developed industry on a large scale, discharging waste gases, wastewater, and toxic substances that have polluted rivers, lakes, and even groundwater. There is no clean water to drink anymore. People can only drink some recycled water that has been artificially processed, which, although not toxic, has far fewer nutrients. The fish in the rivers, lakes, and seas have also been polluted and are unhealthy. It's not easy to find any food that hasn't been contaminated. Isn't mankind landing itself in dire straits? Isn't this caused by mankind itself? Not only is drinking water polluted, but the air is also bad. There are many harmful substances in the air. And now, even if you want to breathe a breath of fresh, clean air, it's hard to manage. Sometimes people even have to wear masks to protect against viruses. The air quality is terrible. People are wary about eating all kinds of food, and people now get every manner of disease, with some young people also getting cancer or diabetes. Who caused all these consequences? People. They were all caused by people. This is how people have managed the earthly home that God created for them, tormenting themselves to the point where they can't eat or drink properly, yet still feeling very happy. This is what comes of leaving God. There is no real happiness to speak of. The only way out for people now is to accept the Creator's salvation, to pursue the truth and walk the path of fearing God. Only in this way can you be saved, can you gain the hope of living, and can you become a member of the new mankind. It's that simple. There's no other way. Eastern people feel that Western civilization is noble and that Westerners must have a way out. Do they? Eastern people feel they have suffered greatly, grown deeply hateful, and endured far too much hardship, and need to be saved by Westerners. They always think of the West as a paradise, that going to the West is getting into heaven, that they'll be free and happy in the West. But Westerners don't feel they have much happiness. They say although our lives are a bit more affluent than those in the East, we're hardly any happier. As long as you are a person on this earth, a member of the human race, you have no happiness on this earth, because, living in this earthly home, everything you accept comes from Satan. Whether it's human thoughts and viewpoints or laws of survival, whether it's Eastern or Western education, There isn't a single thing that can make you live out the likeness of a true human. And there isn't any kind of social education or thought or viewpoint that can allow you, as a created being, to establish yourself in the world of man. Because this mankind lives under Satan's power and is controlled by Satan, the only way for people to live on is to accept God's salvation, accept all the truths that come from God, practice according to God's words, and attain salvation. Only then can mankind truly return to a world where the laws and rules of survival for all things can operate freely, and truly live in a world with a complete food chain. Only in this way can mankind truly play the role of the steward of all things, and fulfill the responsibilities of this role. Apart from this, there is no second way for mankind to take. This is mankind's only way out, the only way out that can bring hope and happiness to mankind. Do you understand? Once you understand, you'll have a path to take. Just strive and pursue in this direction, toward this goal. Don't look back, don't give up, and never stop. Amen. And that's the end of the chapter, How to Pursue the Truth 19, in Volume 7 of The Word Appears in the Flesh. That was written on April 14th, 2024. And God's salvation really is the only path to happiness. I mean, I've walked many different paths in my 33 years of existence. I know I'm still young or middle-aged or whatever. I mean, I'm not that old, but I've lived a lot of different lives. And in the 33 years I've been alive, like I've taken a lot of different paths in life, and I have quite a lot of experience. So, like, I used to be a thief, I used to be a liar, I used to be a cheater, I used to be a fornicator, I used to be an alcoholic, I used to be a pothead. There was a time when I thought I was God. There was a time when I was sober, but I worshipped women. There's been times I've gone to different churches. I've attended or not attended. I've watched different services from different churches online. Fundamental Baptist, Pentecostal, Methodist, Southern Baptist, a lot of different churches. I've studied, and like Ken Ham's church, Answers in Genesis. I've studied a lot of different things. Like, I've studied health, was really interested in organic food and holistic remedies to illness, and was really on a health kick there for a long time, a couple of years. I was obsessed with health. There was a time when I really loved hiking, and I used to get a certain vibe from going hiking, and it was really awesome. But I will say that I was never truly happy until probably around 2023. Probably is when I started to, because my salvation really technically started in 2017. Like, I started walking on the path of salvation in 2017. But I really didn't feel that I had gained salvation until around 2023 or 2024. And, you know, and even I've questioned my salvation even since then. And so really it's not even the salvation that brings happiness, because I've been happy even when questioning my salvation, but really the happiness comes from practicing the truth and knowing the truth is out there, knowing that it's very accessible. You can just pick up a phone, download the Church of Almighty God app, read God's words in the book section or in the devotional section or wherever, and you can just read God's words and they're right there. God is right there. You know, you can just read his words and his words are all the truth, you know, and, you know, it gets rid of that loneliness when you realize you have God to rely on and you can pick up his words and hear from him anytime. You know, he leaves these love letters for us to read, and, you know, they're very practical love letters because they grant us salvation. And you know, once your disposition starts changing, once you start viewing the world differently, you're pursuing the truth, and so you're viewing the world differently, you're viewing yourself differently. You start to see yourself as just a tiny little creature created by God. You begin to submit to God's orchestrations, and so you don't have as many expectations in life. You know, and the expectations you do have are greatly lowered. You know, you're you know, you just accept what God gives you, and then you accept what God takes away from you. And, you know, and it really helps normalize that relationship between you and God. You know, that relationship becomes a lot more normal. And the more normal your relationship with God is, the happier you are. The more you love God, the happier you are, because you feel like you have someone you can love with all your heart, and they're never going to die. They're never going to go away. They're never going to move to another country or something, you know, like get a job somewhere and move. They're not going to break up with you. They're not going to, you know, get cancer. They're not going to whatever. I mean, God is always there. And so you feel like you really have a solid foundation. You really have a partner that you can rely on forever, for the rest of your life. And it's very comforting. And it brings me so much joy to know I can love my God who created me, and to know that he's there. And I'm getting emotional. I'm really happy, and especially when you do your duty too, you know, because you need things to do, and God gives us things to do, because a lot of times what happens is you become more distant from the world the more you love God. The more you practice the truth, the more you become distant from the world, and you're less interested in things of the world. It's hard for things of the world to grab your attention, and as that happens, you know, you have less and less things to do. And so God gives us duties to do, so we have ways to fill our time, and at the same time we can also help others to become closer to God. So doing your duty is important for having something to do and helping others become closer to God. And it's something that you'll naturally be interested in. The closer to God you are, the more interested in doing your duty you will be, you know. So, yeah. Got tears in my eyes talking about God. I tell you what, I just I feel so lucky and so blessed, and I can't believe I'm able to love God so much. I mean, it's such a blessing, and it's so amazing. I've always wanted to be close with God. Well, maybe not always, but off and on throughout my life, I've wanted to be close to God. I would lay in bed and just talk to Him. I would talk out loud. I wouldn't even talk Him. I would just talk out loud, laying in my bed, looking up at my ceiling, talking to Him, like back in like 20 2014, I think. The year my mamaw passed away, I started talking to God. I wanted to be close with Him, but I didn't know Him. And I didn't know what His will for my life was. And I didn't know that He was in control of so much. And so I still had expectations, and I still had hopes and dreams, and God had to crush my hopes and dreams to show me that He loves me and He has a better plan for me, and to show me that I just need to submit to His orchestrations, and life is a lot easier that way. Because, when you're putting effort into trying to make things happen that is against God's will, it's very frustrating when you can't accomplish, what you want to accomplish. You can't reach your goals. And it's very frustrating. And so when you just submit to God, it's a lot easier. And sometimes you feel lazy just submitting to God, but it's a happier life. And you know that if it's God's will, He'll give you work to do, And if you have work to do, then you don't have that feeling of feeling lazy, It's just submission to God is the best way. It's conveniently it's the easiest way. God is not about convenience. It just so happens that submission to Him is easier than fighting against Him. That's not intentional. He doesn't intentionally want to give people an easy way out. That's just the way it is, Wow, those sirens are really loud. All right. Anyways, yeah, sirens give me anxiety. I don't like sirens. But yeah, I guess that's it. So, thank you so much for watching. And there's people talking outside too. It's really annoying, but thank you so much for watching. God bless, and goodbye.